Hello, good morning. So for those of you who I've not met before, I'm Gary Cooper. I've worked in the Spitfire sales team for a little over 11 years now, and I'm now head of direct sales channel. I also manage a team of 14 salespeople, many of whom look after a lot of you guys in the room today, so it's a pleasure to be involved with our partner seminar. So in terms of what I'll be covering this morning, I'll be taking you through to the end of the first part of the morning session. I'll be covering an overview of our voice network, our SIP network, have a look at the different VOIP solutions we provide that take advantage of that network, and then towards the end we'll just have a look at how we maintain call quality as we move into this all IP era. So firstly, looking at our core network. So the circle in the middle of the screen is just a depiction of our core network there, nice and simple. Obviously a lot more goes into it than a simple circle on PowerPoint. But the key with this is it's a Spitfire managed network, completely maintained and managed in-house, dedicated to voice traffic, and is isolated from the public internet. And from here, we have a Spitfire SIP trunk that provides a direct interconnect to the public telephone and mobile networks. And that's a really important factor, because once we've got the call traffic in our network, it doesn't touch the public internet and routes directly into those mobile and telephone public networks. So as touched upon by Pete earlier, a big part of what we like to offer is quality and resilience. So we have added second core network node of our SIP network over the last few years. So what that means is, should there be an issue for any reason for the primary network node that your voice is routing through, that will seamlessly fail over to that second node to ensure that your customers and your business is up and running and limits any impact that an outage might have. So another thing, really important thing to highlight with this diagram here is we've got the customer site on the left-hand side, and then we've got a Spitfire circuit connecting that site to our core network. So as an ISP, Internet Service Provider, we have a wide range of connections we can offer. And when we provide a voice solution over one of those connections, that traffic does not touch the public internet as seen on the bottom right-hand side, which is showing that with a third-party circuit, which again means we can provide full end-to-end solution and quality of service as depicted by that arrow on the top of the diagram. So what that means is when we provide these end-to-end solutions, we've got full visibility of that voice call from start to finish, and it means we can provide a much better support and quality of service for you and your customers. So that's a quick overview of the network itself. So what I want to run through now is the different use cases we can have for Spitfire SIP trunks, and how we can maximize that benefit for your customers, whatever the situation may be for them. So the first use case, and probably the classic use case of times gone by, so as Pete was referencing just now, there's lots of analog multi-line solutions, ISDN solutions in place, and the majority of those will connect to an on-premise phone system. So what our SIP trunk would do is just offer a replacement for those ISDN and analog lines. So commonly, that SIP trunk will terminate onto an IP-based phone system in a customer's office, could be in their data center. But the Spitfire SIP trunk, we're interrupt tested with the majority of the key phone systems on the market. So it's a really simple setup and execution for you on that front. Should we not be compatible with the system, we do also provide a managed on-premise gateway that we can terminate the trunk onto. Again, quite a popular solution because it often saves a lot of money in terms of upgrading solutions. So a lot of on-prem phone systems require lots of licenses and upgrade fees to make them compatible with SIP. So that's a nice, easy way for us to roll out that solution. And we also provide an enhanced session border controller, SBC, provided as a service hosted in our core network for non-native SIP traffic, which leads me nicely on to the next use case, which is the use of our SIP trunk with Microsoft Teams through direct routing. So direct routing, what that means is we can allow our customers to make and receive telephone calls through the Microsoft Teams phone system platform. Provides a single interface for them all to use, so no hassle sort of having multiple applications for internal and external communication, all nice and simple through your single interface of Microsoft Teams. And I'm sure, as you can appreciate, we've seen a big demand increase for this over the past few years off the back of the pandemic. Big adoption of Teams from a lot of organizations, a lot of remote workers and agile workforces. So this is a really nice solution for all of those businesses looking for that sort of one-size-fits-all platform solution. So the benefits of Spitfire SIP trunk and direct routing for you guys as our partners is a really nice, simple solution to provide. You just need to enable direct routing on the Microsoft Teams application. In terms of deployment, we provide the SBC, so you don't need to worry about providing that on site as part of the solution. It means it's much easier, much less cost and less management for you as our partners. We take care of all the hard work for you. And the solution, because it's based on a SIP trunk and simultaneous call utilization, it's usually a lot more cost effective than an end user based solution based around Microsoft Teams. And as you can imagine, as that solution size scales up, once you get into the hundreds of users and above, the price point is a lot more cost effective based on simultaneous calls utilization, as opposed to every person with the Teams application having to pay a fee to access that. And the final point to note on the direct routing is this feature called media bypass. So you've got two sort of arrows on the screen. So the top one that links the customer endpoint handset or soft phone, and the bottom left up to the Microsoft Teams phone system is the signaling. But importantly, when we provide a Spitfire circuit with direct routing trunks through Spitfire, we can eliminate the actual voice media crossing that public internet again. So again, this makes that call route a lot more efficient, eliminates the traversal of the public internet, and means we can provide really strong guaranteed voice quality for your customers. And then the third use case, and probably the one that we have sort of most requirements for, is utilising Spitfire SIP trunk with one of our hosted phone systems. So I'm sure many of you in this room are aware we've been providing hosted phone systems in the industry for a really long time. So we had a lot of success with our initial offering, SIP Communicator, which launched, I believe, in 2009, so a very long time ago now. And that really helped us establish ourselves in the industry as a leader with hosted phone system solutions. Won us a lot of awards along the way, so it won the Hosted Platform of the Year 3 out of 4 years in a row at the Comms National Awards. And following the success of SIP Communicator, we built on that with Hosted PBX 2.1, which I'm sure a lot of you in this room are familiar with. So there's a soft launch of that at the UC Expo in 2018, fully launched at the start of 2020, and that was really well placed for us during the pandemic and the increase of hybrid and remote working. Allowed us to really facilitate that for our customers nice and easily and keep them connected, and a lot of people are moving out of the office for the first time. So we weren't satisfied with that, wanted to keep developing that system, enhance the feature set, and that's led us to where we are today with FireSwitch. So we launched FireSwitch at the UC Expo last year, so October 2022, and that's been developed in-house through our engineering team, very cost-effective, highly scalable solution, all the generic benefits you get with a cloud-hosted application in terms of incorporating multiple sites, easy expansion, etc. However, there's a few key updates from hosted PBX 2.1 to FireSwitch in terms of feature set that I just want to talk through quickly now. So first up was the soft phone. So on hosted PBX 2.1, we could provide a soft phone, but it was a third-party application, so a little extra cost to sort of deploy that with the customer base. So we had a lot of demand from our customers and partners alike to try and provide one that is a Spitfire soft phone. So this is a fully managed Spitfire soft phone, so no additional cost for a third-party app, Spitfire branded, no ads, and free to download. So to access, you can simply search for it in the Google or Apple stores, simply search for the Spitfire soft phone, and you get obviously the added security and ease of downloading the app through those platforms. Simply provisioned by a username and password, or even simpler, just through a QR code. And then that gives you your soft phone application, which I'm sure most people in the room are familiar with, but that will just act as an endpoint and will ring simultaneously with anything else you've got configured for that extension, such as a hard phone on your desk or a PC soft phone as well. So from there, you can see your call logs, your recent calls, access your voicemails, your contact list. There's even a chat functionality as well. And then on the right-hand side, it's just a screen grab from the desktop variant. So again, very similar in terms of functionality. It allows you to make calls from your PC, your laptop, and you can access the same features as you could through the mobile version. And the next feature we had a lot of requirement for is call recording. So this was something we couldn't deliver on hosted PBX 2.1. So again, we've gone away, worked on that, and now we can provide it via our FireSwitch platform. So call recording is enabled for all FireSwitch deployments. When activated, you simply record all calls. They're then stored in AWS, Amazon Web Services London, and to access those, very easy to do via the Spitfire customer portal. So we've got a couple of screen grabs here, just to show you where to look on that portal. So on the left-hand side, from the drop-down options there, you just simply select Hosted PBX, and that'll bring up all the different hosted phone system contracts you've got with us. If you've got multiple ones, obviously they're all listed there. If it's just one, it'll just show the one. So once you know the contract you're looking for, click on that, and then as you'd expect, there's various easy-to-use search bars for numbers, time of day, date ranges, etc. And then simply press play recording on the right-hand side there, and it downloads recording in the MP3 format to play via the PC. So that's a quick overview of FireSwitch itself. So what's the target market? Where is the opportunity for you guys, and where are we seeing uptake? So as Pete was talking about earlier, with the pending 2025 switch off, there's still thousands of lines out there. And a lot of those lines might be single lines, and IP voice is a great solution as a single line replacement, as Pete mentioned. But a lot of those lines will be multi-lines and ICN channels connecting to on-premise phone systems. So obviously that's a lot of lines that needs to be upgraded, and FireSwitch is proving a very popular way of doing that. So people are using that opportunity to not only upgrade their lines, but review the IP phone system they've got at the same time. Is it still fit for use? How are their requirements changed? And FireSwitch is ticking a lot of those boxes. And one of the biggest things we're focusing on with FireSwitch is flexibility. So we've been listening to the market and SMEs. The biggest thing that we're hearing from them at the moment is flexibility. Everyone wants flexibility so they're not tied into something they don't want and just have that ease of manipulation. So feature set wise, things like the soft phone application I've just looked at has really helped from that from a user perspective. So this is aided by our Work From Anywhere campaign. So customers can literally work from anywhere, be that their desk with a soft phone, a hard phone, sorry, or a coffee shop from home, even on the beach, which would be nice, via the soft phone application. So it really supports the hybrid and remote working forces that we see out there. And it's also really easy to grow with companies. So we're seeing a lot of companies adopt the system, and it just grows naturally with them. And what about from your perspective? So what we're doing with FireSwitch is just trying to make it as easy as possible for you to provide for your customers and just removing any obstacles we can to sale. So building on the end user flexibility, commercial flexibility is a big factor that we're trying to satisfy with FireSwitch. So as standard, FireSwitch is a 12-month term, and part of that is there's no connection fees on that 12-month offering, which is quite unique in the market. So what we're trying to do there, again, is not tie customers into long contracts, put their mind at ease that, look, it's simply a 12-month minimum term, nice and easy, no connection fees to get yourself set up. We've also added a term that we call FireSwitch Flex. And again, what that means is more flexibility from the customer, because they can simply increase or decrease the number of users within that minimum term at no penalty. So customers can add extensions if they hire more staff and want to get more people on the system. Very easy to do, and from that point of addition, it doesn't extend the contract. The initial term stays strong, which again is a lot of feedback we've had from competitors offerings who will renew contracts without realising, and customers in a bit of a sticky situation. And flip side of that is customers can reduce their initial extension order by up to 20% within that contract term with no penalty, which again is just trying to remove any obstacle we can for people who are a bit unsure about making the move to a new system. And management-wise, we get a lot of different requirements for our partners. Some want to be very hands-on, some don't want much involvement in terms of management of the system at all. So we offer a real large sort of sliding scale of support we can offer. So you can simply refer the customer to us, we'll take care of everything start to finish for you, or you can take ownership of that system. We can provide you free training of the system, and it's all done via a really easy online management portal. So it's really up to you how you want to do that, and we'll facilitate whatever you're looking for there. Key to the whole thing is obviously it is a Spitfire managed and developed system. So there's no third parties involved, so you're directly talking to the system supplier. So any feedback that you've got, anything you want us to help you out with, you're talking to the right people. We don't have to log tickets out elsewhere. And it's got a really stable feature set. So we're not going to be withdrawing features last minute that your customers might be using and leave you in difficult situations. All we're going to be doing is just trying to build upon that feature set and make it even more feature rich moving forwards. So all of that is designed to make it as easy as possible for you to provide a good solution for your customers that you can support moving forwards. So FireSwitch very much being our number one hosted phone system for the features and flexibilities I've just outlined. But it is important to note we still are a 3CX Titanium partner. So we still provide a lot of 3CX solutions. Obviously 3CX has a couple of niche features such as CRM integrations, video conferencing facilities, etc., which aren't quite ready on FireSwitch platform now, so we can still provide 3CX in those scenarios. The most common offering for 3CX is 3CX Cloud, so very similar deployment method to FireSwitch, hosted in our network still utilises a Spitfire SIP trunk and all those associated benefits, and it's simply a per end user simple billing model. We can also deploy it on-premise if needed, or we can provide it if you've got a license you want to move across, we can host it in our platform as a service, but most of the time 3CX Cloud will tick the boxes you're looking for. So that's the summary of the typical use cases of the Spitfire SIP trunk and the systems and solutions that customers look to provide. But what I want to mention now is just a feature of our core network called AnySIP. So I don't know if many of you would have heard of this before, but basically what any SIP for us does is it allows us to route calls between more than 2 systems using a Spitfire SIP trunk routed privately, so the calls remain on our core network. So any of those use cases we've just looked at using a Spitfire SIP trunk, if they need to communicate with each other, the calls don't leave our core network and stay on net. So what that means is, well, firstly, the call doesn't leave our core network to the public telephone network, so there's no call charges for that, nice and simple and clean there. But the big sort of USP for that is it's a really clear single system, both internally and externally. So customers dial a DDI, they don't need to know what system it's connected to. We just set up the configuration to ring who it needs to ring. And likewise, internally, different users, even though they're on different systems, will configure the extension dialing plan to just call who it needs to call. So we've had a great success using it in helping move people from potentially like more legacy systems onto more modern system. So if their customer has an on-premise sort of aging Panasonic Avaya system with a Spitfire SIP trunk, and they're looking to migrate everyone over to a fire switch solution, we can just run the two in tandem, phased approach to move people over. It takes a lot of the stress out of the process because you don't have to do everything at once. It's been really beneficial there. But the main sort of USP for the AnySIP feature is when you've got a customer that's got 2 subsets of users that have sort of competing requirements. So they really need 2 different systems and they want them to like integrate with each other. It's the word we hear a lot. So a good example of that might be you've got a customer, majority of the people just have fairly sort of standard requirements for a phone system, might need the odd soft phone application, etc. for remote working. So Fire Switch would tick all of their boxes. However, within that, you might have a support team or a sales team that need a few sort of call center features and functionalities. So instead of having to get a system that supports all of those features and functionalities and roll it across the whole business, which is going to be quite a cost to do so, what we can do is basically set up the different subsets of users on different systems, utilize the AnySIP to avoid a one-size-fits-all approach. So it just means that we can provide 2 sort of coexisting systems as opposed to 2 competing systems, making your life a lot easier as well from a partner management perspective. So that's a quick overview of our SIP network. Hopefully you can see we've got a big focus on quality and providing the assurances you need in terms of delivery of those systems. We've got an extensive range of VOIP solutions that we've just been through, and it's all aimed to help you provide the right solution that works for your customers and fits their need. However, as Pete was talking about earlier, we're obviously moving to this all-IP age. So analog lines and ISDN, they're designed to carry voice. IP isn't. So what we really need to think about moving forwards is how do we ensure we maintain that good quality calling as we move into this all-IP world. So with that in mind, what Spitfire have done, have gone away, is developed our clear methodology, which I'm sure a number of you in the room are familiar with already. But the idea behind the clear methodology is, well, we've always prioritized voice quality. That's always been our number one factor. We want to provide solutions that work. So what clear does, it's a way of just reviewing that whole journey of the voice packet from A to B, which is often a very complex journey that's often oversimplified and overlooked by providers. So what we want to do is look at the overall network, that packet from A to B, from mouth to ear, assess the suitability of that journey for voice and highlight where it might not be suitable and offer a correct alternative. So in order to achieve business-grade call quality, the underlying network needs to satisfy a range of criteria. Some of the most common criteria being packet loss, latency, and jitter. So packet loss needs to be minimal, no less than 1%. Latency needs to, again, be minimal and no less than 150 milliseconds one way, so mouth to ear. And jitter likewise, but no more than 30 milliseconds. So when we're looking at this clear review, we're really looking at that journey of that voice packet and assessing each step of that journey to ensure that criteria are met. So clear, each letter of clear stands for relates to a different part of this journey. So just have a quickly look at each one just to explain what those are. So C is the customer LAN. So that's the left-hand side of this diagram. So basically everything behind the router on the customer's network. So endpoints, so handsets, soft phones, etc., switches, cablings, firewalls, how are they deployed? How is all that going to treat the voice packets? Is the voice packet going to be competing for data? If so, how do we ensure that we get that prioritized over the data? Think VLANs, quality of service, etc. The L stands for the link. So this is the data access circuit from the customer site to the existing ISP's core network. This is obviously a topic very close to our hearts. Being an ISP, we've got a big range of circuits that we can offer, but we have a range that we term voice approved. So reason we call those circuits voice approved is we know that there's assurances on bandwidth, so we know there's always going to be sufficient bandwidth for the calls, but most importantly, they all have SLAs relating to those key performance factors of latency, jitter, and packet loss that I mentioned earlier. So therefore, we know if we provide a circuit with those SLAs, that the voice is not going to have an issue on that leg of the journey, and that's often an area that's overlooked. So a lot of regular broadband circuits, etc., do not have such SLAs, and that is where call quality can really become an issue. So that's why we're really keen to provide these voice-approved circuits where we can. The E is the exit, so this is where the router on the site gets the limelight. So again, thinking about that router, how's it handling the data coming to it? How's it differentiating voice and data traffic, egress quas configuration, packet marking, etc. They're your key takeaways from the exit. Arrival is the A, so that's the journey downwards from the VoIP service provider down to the customer site. And then the R is the route, so that's the route of the traffic between the VoIP service provider and the telephony networks. So that's a real quick overview of the clear methodology, but it's just really important to emphasize that they're not all independent parts. They all make up the voice packets journey. So just because you have a router configured for quas, for voice, it doesn't mean the solution is going to be clear. You need to be thinking about the LAN configuration, the router, the route that voice traffic is taking from the ISP to the public telephone networks. So ideally, we would provide the whole solution because, again, we can then manage everything end to end. We can see that voice packet from end user handset all the way through the public telephone network. If there is an issue, we can dial in, we can fix it. If we don't have visibility of that, we can't. So again, from your perspective as our partners, why is clear important to you? Fundamentally, it just makes sure that we provide quality solutions to your customers that work. So this means you're not going to get called up from your customers with voice quality issues, you're not going to have unhappy customers, you're not going to have people wanting to move away from you and find a different alternative. We'll provide you something that works. So instead of lost customers and retention issues, hopefully that will mean more referrals, more positive reviews, more business and growth for you as well as us. And the big thing really about the clear methodology is we're finding is a really good differentiator for us versus competitors in terms of voice solutions. So we have a lot of customers come to us who are experiencing call quality issues. We go through this clear review process with them, highlight where those possible call quality issues are coming in, and we then work together to find a solution that's going to resolve those and get that in motion moving forwards. So it's all about ensuring expectations are set, potential problems are highlighted, and to show that we have the solutions to address those problems should they occur. So that brings me to the end of my presentation this morning. So the key takeaways are obviously just the importance of our network, the resiliency built in, that direct connection to the public telephone networks. We've got a really wide range of VoIP solutions we can offer. So anything you're unsure about, give us a call, give us a question, and we can find a solution that works for you and your customers. And when it comes to voice quality, always think clear. How is that voice packet getting from A to B? How do we ensure we know what that route is and we prevent the quality of that voice? And that brings us to the end of the morning session as well. So the time now is 10:30. So I think we're due to kick off 11:15, the second part of the session. So as of now, we'll go out to the lobby area, refreshments, tea, coffee, find your account manager, have a chin wag. Any questions you've got on anything you've heard so far, fire at them. Likewise, Pete and I will be out there, more than happy to answer any questions. But if we can be back in here for 11:10, for 11:15 sharp, that'd be great. Thanks.